Hello, Ignite Nation. We are back with another Ignite the Flame podcast. Today, we are here with Shawna Rainey. She is the Chief Reimbursement Officer here at Ignite Medical Resorts. Today, we're going to talk about recognition that was recently received at Ignite Medical Resorts from the American Association of Post-Acute Care Nursing. This honor, it doesn't just reflect outcomes, but it reflects how we develop leaders here at Ignite Medical Resorts and how that contributes to exceptional outcomes. So, Shawna, thank you and welcome to the pod.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, what does this Operational Excellence Award really represent about Ignite beyond just the recognition itself?
Sure. Yeah. AAPACN reached out to us after learning about all of our programming, all that we do with staff development and recognition, and just growing our own leaders. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we shared a lot about your work that you do with Lion in Training and yes. Ignite University, and the list goes on. And so they knew immediately that we would have a really strong nomination for this award. And so, first of all, to be recognized from them yes. to even apply was awesome. We do a lot of partnering with them on the post-acute side of things, mainly surrounding reimbursement, quality mm-hmm. measure trends, and whatnot. But mm-hmm. it's just really meaningful, like you said, beyond the recognition, to know that we are doing things differently. We're making a difference. We're growing our own leaders in one of the hardest regulatory environments that exists.
Absolutely. And we have a very tough business model here at Ignite. So this award basically represents leadership development as a driver of outcomes, which is very important. And so with that, how do you see leadership training translate into clinical and reimbursement performance?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the first and foremost, you have to have structure around any sort of programming, any department, any initiative that we're on, that we're trying to accomplish. So it starts there, and bringing in your peers and asking for their input versus sitting around a table and just trying to make those decisions on your own. Mm-hmm. I think we're growing leaders, even though we don't know we're growing leaders, by bringing them in. Yes. And then like the second and almost more important part of that is just the accountability piece and following up and following through. Specifically, the reimbursement teams know, that first of all, they know the expectations and they know that they're held accountable at the end of the day to those results, mm-hmm. but they're also very, they're encouraged to be autonomous in the way that we get those results. We want to put some sort of uniformity around what we do, mm-hmm. but know that the end result, getting there, isn't always the same for everybody.
Awesome. So when you give that autonomy, how does the development of your leaders really contribute to the autonomy that you're providing for them?
Honestly, sometimes it's just kind of like a reality check. Like we got to stop and just get back to the basics. And sometimes we're just overthinking a system or a process. And so just hearing that insight from them is key.
Shawna, we are thrilled to have programs that Ignite, like the CNO IT program, the LIT program, and the Director of Rehab IT programs, all of which are helping to advance our organization by developing leaders. So with that, I think our audience would welcome an opportunity to find out, how did your career grow? How were you developed within Ignite?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that we were doing, even though we now have formal programming, that you're leading for us and around CNO in Training, mm-hmm. Lion in Training, Director of Rehab in Training, and we know that's growing too. But I think mm-hmm. we've done it since day one, even though we didn't necessarily have a formal program or a title around it. So mm-hmm. I was lucky enough to open our very first Ignite almost 8 years ago, and they trusted me to take us to the next level when we started to acquire buildings and start building new buildings from the ground up. So I think it started from day one mm-hmm. that our leaders and our owners and co-founders had a vision, and it's executed now more formally and with some structure, but it's always been their promise and initiative from day one.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for recognizing the programs. It's one of my greatest joys is being a part of it. I remember when Tim reached out and asked me if I would develop content for all of our employees, regardless of your role. And the goal is to give high-level training, the same level that you would give for senior level leader, to every position within the organization. And the thought behind it is that our people are important, and purpose is generated when we're growing our skill set.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So as a former administrator, I would be irresponsible if I didn't say thank you to all the MDS nurses. It's an incredible skill set to develop, a skill set that many people don't know. And so when you can drive and develop that skill set, this is what we're talking about, Ignite Nation, developing as we're growing. And if we can develop that skill set, then you can convert it into income right here at Ignite. You can convert it into outcomes for our guests. You can convert it into reputation in the communities in which we work. So
absolutely, you know, it's always exciting to bring in new MDS coordinators that have worked at some of our bigger competitors. And you know, it's one thing to sit in an interview and talk about our volume and the fast pace, and then you get in there and it's kind of like, whoa, you know, this is insane. But we have built, like, you know, so many structures and efficiencies and processes to make those leaders successful. And we've grown a lot of the MDS coordinators, and in the event that they walk away, they're walking away, you know, so much better and with so much appreciation for Ignite as a whole, but you know, and leadership within reimbursement too.
Awesome. You know, in our profession, which is very emotionally demanding, we find that it's wonderful when we have conferences and associations that focus primarily on us in this post-acute space. So with that being said, how many of your team members were able to go to the conference, and what type of impact did that have on their vision for the future?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, thank you so much to Tim and Barry for the opportunity to send my entire team to Orlando, Florida during spring break. Just that commitment and what they pour into us is unusual, but so appreciative. I remember the day, I had known about it for quite a while before I told my team, before I sent them the invite. And that morning I sent it to them, and I was so tearful and emotional, and kind of getting emotional now thinking about it, because sometimes we're just the people behind the scenes that nobody knows everything that they do and all that they do. They know when it's lacking, right? Yes. But they don't know when things are kind of firing on all cylinders. So I looked at my daughter and I said, look what I just sent my team. Yes. And it was awesome. So we took about 45 people. I would 45. Say maybe 5 people were not able to attend. But we had a huge representation there. I was so proud to stand on that stage and look out and see everybody standing there.
Wow. You know, Ignite Nation, everybody plays a role in the success of this great organization, regardless of your position. And so when you are grinding, if you will, when you are chasing excellence, I want you to remember that it's allowing us to stand on stages and accept awards with a smile. It's allowing leaders to reach out to their teams and say, hey, job well done. Let's go get recognized.
Yeah, and I had kept this award a secret from them. So they did not know until the award presentation that morning. So typically there's a slideshow rolling where they have it all, you know, displayed. Well, AAPACN partnered with me, knew that it was going to be a secret, so they took us off of there. And then I had done an interview ahead of time, and that was the first time that they found out about it. So yeah, it was really something I'll never forget.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That is an incredible honor. And I'm sure your team just admit the world to them. I only have one more question, and then we'll kind of round this out. But how do you make sure this level of excellence doesn't become a moment, but stays the standard?
I love that. The end of last year, I started thinking about how do we stay on top? It's really hard getting there, but it's harder staying on top. And so I came up with the concept of sustaining the flame. And we've shared it across the organization, and some other departments are implementing the same sort of structure, but it's just putting some formality around the audits, the check-ins, the double and triple checks, crossing our T's and I's, making sure that, we're compliant and that we continue to be successful. And so that, it's kind of a VP level tool that's used as an audit, but just things we've learned along the way. But through results of audits, industry changes, anything that's coming down the line, just putting some guardrails around that. And so we talk a lot about sustaining the flame.
Sustaining the flame. We ignite the flame right now. Yeah. And then when you receive it, we want to sustain it.
Yes, putting that extra log on there. How do you keep that fire going?
Yes, yes. As we all achieve goals, it's easy to achieve it the first time. It's not easy, but we like to say that because It's so much harder to repeat.
Yes.
And so with that, the excellence is how we continually chase it. And I guarantee it that we'll continue to see the results. And it doesn't necessarily mean to be recognized in an award, but we'll see the results in the people that we're developing. We'll see the results in the outcomes.
That's a promise. Yes.
That's a promise.
Yes.
So is there anything that you'd like to say to your team or to all the MDS nurses across the country? Because we'll post this on social media. And so folks outside the Ignite family will see how we recognize our clinical leaders here.
I never take for granted the team that we have and with the MDS coordinators. Truly one of a kind. I wholeheartedly believe you are the best of the best. Thank you for all that you do. And then to all the MDS coordinators out there, keep fighting the good fight. We have to stay nimble. Changes are always coming, but you are put in this position for a reason. So keep fighting.
Keep fighting and keep sustaining the flame. And Ignite Nation, I'm going to take this as an example of how I should continue to pursue excellence. And I encourage you to continue pursuing excellence. If you achieve the next Lion Award, if you achieve recognition from within the industry, always remember, getting there is the easy part. The next part is sustaining it. So as we exit this interview, I want to thank you, Shawna, for joining us. We really appreciate having you. We're here at Ignite Home Base recording this. It's our second on location podcast, and we're very happy to have you. And thank you very much to you and your team for joining, or thank you for joining and representing your team and representing Ignite so well in Orlando. And I'll end with this, as we do with every podcast. There's nothing more honorable than placing the needs of someone else before your very own. And we do that continuously as we chase the flame, as we sustain the flame, and when we light the flame. And we want to thank you for everything that you do as we continue to give excellence throughout all of our resorts. Let's get it and have a great day.